They chest be like, like when they fed right, they look clean. They look clean. Like
Oh yeah,
Dobermans.
man. Yeah,
Let me start this thing.
this
I
dog
forgot.
this dog eat. When I first got him, I was feeding him like steaks and stuff, bro. I was
Oh yeah,
feeding
it's a
him.
dog.
I was feeding him raw steak. Shoot, he was getting leftovers, bro. He was
Oh
eating. He
yeah,
was eating. He was
Oh
eating, bro.
damn. He was
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
he
eating
was.
living he
hella
was living a
good,
good
bro.
life. That's the good
Yeah,
That's
life.
why. That's why the motherfucker's so friendly. He like shit. I love it here.
yeah,
Shit.
for real. He be eating raw steak. We be giving him salmon. Like, yeah, this
Yeah,
dog be eating, bro. Rice.
yeah, man. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
That's
he
he.
the one thing about Dobermans though, like the way they move, they're like it's like they're light on their feet. Like they're very
Nah,
agile.
Oh
You
yeah,
feel
yeah,
me?
that's
for real.
him. Move
You know
like
what
a
I'm saying?
horse.
Yeah. Yeah, that shit crazy. But hey man, don't forget to clock in. Like the thumbs, man. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. All that good
Yes,
stuff,
sir.
man. Here we go.
Great Pharaoh. The gift of Troy is a fabulous fabric from the land of the five rivers.
Hit the edge 30, 35, 40. Midfield, McMahon breaks a tackle. He's gone! 10, 5, touchdown! Raiders!
2 years ago, when we came to Los Angeles, I really believed that the greatness of the Raiders would be in its future.
next 6 months. And that's just do one thing and one thing only, win. And I want winners. Winners never stop working. Kick in the front door and let's get this bad boy rolling.
I got the contract, this is one of them hits now. Heard back from Earth She just shot a few of my ships down. It's safe to say I'm totally pissed. Wow. My cloaking devices just malfunction. Guess it's time for a sit down. This is the problem I got with humans, mostly the common man. Constantly fucking with energy they don't understand. Always thinking they got the upper hand. The G-forces from my maneuvers can snap your spine like a rubber band. I shouldn't waste my time, they ain't half as nice. Put a Red Bull in your coffin so your ghost can have wings in the afterlife. Let's rock and roll like a belly dancer's rhinestone. It was my idea to shake the pineal gland like a pine cone. My thoughts create hurricanes, tornadoes, and cyclones. A punch for me is like an avalanche of granite and limestone. You live here, now this is my home. I neuralize both your retinas, you wake up staring at the screen of your iPhone. Confused by the light plus the high tone. And now we connected from the microchip I placed next to your thigh bone. It's hard to understand cause you're mind blown, but I gotta cut communication. Your government just scramble they spy drones.
That voice speaking Sumerian, the oldest language in human history. I can't explain it.
What's going on? We back. Man. It's another edition of Around the Shield, man. As you see it on the screen, man, my guy Big Mike Raider, the Severe Raider, and myself, Pharaoh NFL, man. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. One of the best Raider shows out there, man. Make sure to clock in, like the thumbs, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. You guys will be watching this on all of our channels, so you want to make sure you support all of us, man. So we keep coming back and bringing this good Raider content, man. But hey, look, man. How's everybody doing, man? I'll always start off with that, man. Mike, what's going on? Severe, what's up with y'all, man? How y'all doing?
Man, I'm good, bro. Let this show this morning be your pregame for this afternoon, man. Yes. Get excited. We got week one of the preseason against the Vikings on the road in Minnesota, man. Get excited. We got football, man. We got football. Man, come on. Let's go. Let's go, man.
Yes, sir. Severe, man, what's going on with you, man?
Oh, man, as Mike alluded to, bro, I'm just excited, very excited to get some Raider football back into my system, bro. Just tie me off and stick it right into my veins, brother. I'm ready, ready for some of this Raider football, bro. It's been a long time, man. Been a long time. The season didn't end like we wanted it to, so now, hey, hope springs eternal right now. And I just can't wait, wait to see this product on the field. Plus, man, my son, I've been saying my son, man, they've been out there hitting. And, the first few days was rough for him. He was out there crying and he didn't want to do it. But now he out there smacking stuff, bro. So I'm proud, man. I'm proud he out there. He lowering the shoulder. He's starting to get the technique down, man. He's loving it now. Now he's like, yo, I can't wait to hit. So. It's all good now, man. So they season about to start soon. So hey, I'm getting football. I know it's too much football about to be coming up for me.
Man, he's building that callus, man. He's getting tougher by the day, man. That's what's up.
Yes, sir.
That's what's up, man. But hey, look, man. Like y'all alluded to, man, training camp is pretty much wrapped up. The Raiders have left Costa Mesa. I keep messing up the name. Costa Mesa. Is that how it's pronounced? I mean, y'all from SoCal, so y'all know the name better than I do, man. I'm NorCal, so I don't even. So some of the names, don't y'all have a city out there? And shout out Friday. I think it was next Friday. Rancho Cucamonga something. Yeah, Rancho Cucamonga. Shout out to anybody that's from there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Man, I keep messing up these names, man. Y'all got some crazy names out there, man. But anyways, the Raiders pretty much have left the city, which is the end of training camp. And I think we were talking about earlier, like usually training camp it's usually still happening around the time that the games are still playing, and then near the end of preseason is when they wrap up training camp. But from what it sounds like, they've wrapped up training camp altogether, and I guess they're getting ready for their regular season matchup from here on out. I mean, outside of the preseason games that they still have to play. Am I getting that right, Mike? I mean, is training camp still going to be happening in Vegas? I'm not 100% sure, but I know that Costa Mesa, they're done over there. And I know they finished it out the other day with them having fun on the beach. And I don't know if y'all seen the hilarious video of Dylan Lobby impersonating Max Crosby. That was hilarious. But yeah, it seemed like they had a good time. And, just the typical, I think, I don't know if they had the rookies perform any, like, usually sometimes they had like a rookie talent show type deal. Did they have it? Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's hilarious. And especially, it's always good to see when you see all the players having a good time and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that being said, we're heading into the Vikings game. But before we get into that, let's get into what happened this week. We've heard we're gonna start off with the quarterback. We're gonna start off the quarterback. Starting last Saturday they had a scrimmage. We heard that AOC didn't have the best scrimmage and Minshew kind of had the better of the days. And then we're hearing from the beat writers, the people that were on in the building or on the field, and it's still kind of close. Fast forward, you hear AP earlier this week was asked about the quarterback competition. It's still pretty even. He hasn't given the edge to anybody. So it's like, okay. And I know me and Severe with last week and Mike, we were talking about like which way this can go. And I'm quoted as saying, we'll talk about it too as well, because I know people had comments from last week about this, but I said if it's close, but like AOC should get the job. It's a win-win type of situation. You got a veteran guy in Gardner Minshew. He's used to it. If AOC falters a little bit, bring in the vet who's experienced and who's been there, done that. But obviously, if it's clear cut, then Minshew. But based off what you heard this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be the reason why the Raiders falter this year? Could this be possible? The quarterback position really could hold. I know it's the elephant in the room. We try to talk, we're talking up the offense. We're talking about the receivers and the tight ends, and we're excited about Zamir White possibly being an X factor in the run game, replacing Josh Jacobs. But is this quarterback position this bad? Because it sounds like we're hearing from everywhere, like they're throwing interceptions in double coverage. A guy's wide open. They're throwing an interception. Like, what can we expect out of this quarterback position? Do you think it's really as bad as what we're hearing from training camp, Mike?
All right, so I'm going to put a disclaimer out there, man. What we say for these next 10, 20, 30, whatever the number is, minutes, leave it in the comments, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree. Nobody wants to hear about the downfall of a team in August, right? Nobody wants to hear that, but we're here to talk about it because, well, to be quite frankly with you, between these two guys, it seems like a pillow fight. And when I say that, it's two guys that don't look great, just evenly battling with each other with something that's not really hurting each other, not really making any kind of impact. We keep hearing it's dead even. It's dead even. But nobody's really sticking out and doing anything spectacular. Nobody's making an impact yet, from what it sounds like to me. Now, hey, I could be definitely overreacting with this one because, like I've said before, the defense is going to always be ahead of the curve at the beginning stages. Yes, they've been in camp for 3 weeks. Okay, that's the truth. But you do also want to see some progression from this offense. You don't want to see a bunch of interceptions. You want to see the gelling of these quarterbacks, that they understand what's going on. They get the concepts. They're really sinking their teeth down, especially in a quarterback competition. You want to see good versus good, and both guys are getting better. Not like, okay, one guy's having a good game, a little bit better, and then the other one falters, and then the next one's having good, and then it just kind of evens out. But they're both not really performing at that level you want them to be at. Originally, when I said early in the summer when they had their mini camps that I wasn't really concerned for this offense 1 to 10, I was giving it like a 2 or 3 or something like that. I'm at like a 5 or 6 now, because right now is the time to get things together. Yeah, we got a whole month until week 1, and like you said, training camp, it seemed a little early to end it, but that was maybe indoctrination to the season, getting people broken into what's going on, and then the following next 2 preseason games is going to be routine preparation. And what I want to see, side note, what I do want to see from these two guys in this game is how they respond after training camp. And then after this game, I want to see in the next game, how do they respond after doing a week's routine in preparation? Those are the 2 phases that mean a lot to me as far as what we're seeing from these quarterbacks. But most importantly, somebody's got to step up, or this might be our downfall. It's going to be, one guy out there who's subpar and then a backup quarterback who's also subpar. It really doesn't mean anything if both people can't get the job done. But that's all I got, bro. That's all I got.
Yeah, man. And you know what, man? I hope shout out to Ray, man. Hopefully we get you on soon, man. He brought this to my attention. You know what I mean? Because we were talking and I'm gonna pass this on to Severe. And what happens if it's a situation where, AP, a defensive head coach, defensive-minded head coach. We understand his background, former linebacker. What happens if he's throwing everything at this offense? We all know the defense usually around this time of year is a little bit ahead of the offense. On top of an offense that's still they're learning their way. They're still figuring things out. This defense has been around each other for 3 years. You got that side of it. And also you got another side. You got a defense head coach who's throwing everything at this offense. When usually in years past, when we had offensive coaches, they might have been like, you know what, let's give this offense some reps, and probably told the defense to throttle a little off. Like, you know what I mean? Look, do you guys believe in that narrative? Can that possibly be true where, if you have an offensive head coach, he's probably not going to want the defense to be dominating and he wants the defense to play well, but he also wants to give the offense reps. Can that be a possibility, Severe?
So that can be some of it, right? That can be some of it. Some of it is going to be, the defense always starts out ahead of the offense. This defense, has the talent. They have the continuity. They have the coaching, not only from the head coach, but look on down the line. You got Rob Ryan there. You have Marvin Lewis there. You have Antonio Pierce, Patrick Graham. They have a plethora of coaches with a lot of experience in this league. Mm-hmm. But what that doesn't and so I can understand the offense will struggle against that. But at the end of the day, some of these things that's happening are like unforced errors. Mm-hmm. You're making bad reads, throwing into double coverage. You have a receiver running wide open, you overthrow him, and it's an interception. You get strip sacked. How do you get strip sacked in training camp? How does that happen? You feel me? That's like getting knocked out in sparring. You have on headgear, bro. How does this? You must have took the cleanest shot ever to get knocked out in sparring. And so it's that's some of it is the defense, but at the end of the day, just how this defense knows the offense. At some point, you've had 3 weeks of scouting reports on this defense. You should know what's going on by now, bro. You should know what they're running, and you should know how to counter it. So I mean, and I will give the offense a pass because of this. They're missing Colton Miller, who was a presumptive starter. Well, we assume that's going to be a starter at left tackle. We know that's going to be a starter at left tackle. They're missing Jackson Powers Johnson, who was the presumptive starter at left guard. Even though I've heard that Cody Whitehair has actually had a pretty good camp, and they've had a kind of a rotation over at right tackle between DJ Glaze and cement-footed Thayer Munford. So that is so that they get a little bit of a pass there, but even then though, right? Because what have we heard? We've heard the best unit in training camp hasn't been the defensive line, who it should be because they're beating up on essentially backups. The best unit has been the secondary. So that tells you that these quarterbacks are putting these balls in the air, and these dudes just grabbing them. Triple pause. You feel me? It's not a good look, man. and know what this know what this reminds me of? Mike called it a pillow fight. If anybody that watches college football, the prestigious bowls. You have the Fiesta Bowl, and then you have the Sugar Bowl, you have the Orange Bowl, you have the Rose Bowl. Then you have these knockoff bowls where it's 2 barely 500, like the Holiday Bowl or like the San Diego Bowl or something like that. Like that's what we're watching, the San Diego Bowl right now. We're watching like two 500 teams from like, you know, Conference USA, like battle it out, like for nothing but a bowl victory. Like, you know, it's a concept. They're battling for a consolation prize. And neither one of them really deserve any kind of accolades or anything like that. Like neither one of them have really done anything to earn it in this camp. And at this point, you know, Minshew probably has a slight edge, but even then, like this is a battle for mediocrity at the quarterback position.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is too, it's not that, all right, we expect the offense to dominate the defense. It's like at least have some wins under your belt. Like at least have some days, and it just feels like they haven't won any. Not any day. You know what I mean? They might have had a couple of passes here and there, but it felt like the defense just literally just came and slaughtered, and they didn't leave anybody. It just you know what I'm saying? Like it but maybe it's just, we'll see. We'll find out, man, soon enough, man. Minnesota Vikings are here, and hopefully the offense could remember what they did last time in the regular season, where they, you know, it was a 3-0 game, one of the worst Raider games I've seen, man. We've never seen a 3-0 game. Like who, like has that? I don't think that's ever happened before, right? I think they said the last time that a team ever lose with that low of a score, something crazy like 10-6 was the last lowest scoring game like that, and it was the Steelers versus the Ravens, maybe the Browns or something like that, you know. But you know, it is what it is.
It was 0-0 all the way up to the end of the fourth. Like it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. So hopefully the offense, if you know, they remember that. The players that played in that last game against the Vikings,
or they forget it,
or they forgot it. They forgot it. You know, they forgot it. You know, have short-term memory. Yeah, I get that part of it. But so the Raiders are going into the Vikings game right now, right? So training camp is wrapped up. We still have some question marks going on with this team in different positions. Obviously, we just got done talking about the quarterback position, and we'll continue to talk about that. But what are other parts of this team that you're looking forward to watch during the preseason game? I understand we're going to be looking at that quarterback position, most important position in football, right? But what other things are you looking forward to looking at this game, Mike, like against the Vikings? What other positions are you looking at?
Man, the one thing that pops up in my head right now is the emergence of Dylan Lobby. I think this preseason is going to be huge for him. This has a potential to put him in a highly regarded position on the offense. Now, am I saying he's going to win the running back 2 position right off the jump? No, I don't think that's going to happen. But he could definitely be a guy that they put in, you know, as a weapon. Put him in the slot. Put him out of the backfield into the slot. Like things like that. Like, you know, 2 running backs. You know, you can use him in that sort of manner, and it's all going to depend on how well he performs in the preseason. I think he's going to take the preseason by storm. I think not only that, he's going to have 100 total yards against the Vikings today. I think that's in store for him. And I think at some point, if he doesn't do it this game, he's going to do it in the next couple of games. Right. I think he's that special. I think that he has a potential to be a solid running back too in the future. Right now, maybe not, because I think they got some invested in Madison right now, and I think they're going to roll with him. But, you know, when it's all said and done, maybe even next year or maybe later this year, you're going to see him as that running back too. I really believe that. I'm going to say it again, but I'm looking at running backs, and I'm looking at how well the offensive line is performing, even the backups, because that's going to be important for us, you know, just in case, you know, JPJ isn't able to perform. He's not going to be able to show up before the start of the season, or if Colton Miller goes back down again, or if anybody else goes back down. We got to have some good depth. So I want to see each and every one of these offensive linemen perform at a high level. That's really what I'm looking at too. I'm not worried about too much of the defense. I think the defense is good. They're going to do what they do.
Right.
You know, I'm buying into they're as good as advertised at this point until proven otherwise. But the offense, it's a huge spotlight on them. I need to see what's going to happen with them as far as, you know, how's the blocking scheme? What are we doing with the running back? Like those are the two things that I'm looking at, and that I'm most concerned about, besides the quarterback position, of course.
Yeah, and just talk about the run game. He's talking about Dylan Lobby. That's definitely going to be something to look at during this game, because now you get Getsy. His calling card with the Chicago Bears, and what he's shown is that he's coached an offense that could be tops in the league as far as running the football. Hopefully he brings that to the Raiders. With all our concerns with the quarterback position, hopefully we can hang our hat on the run game. So Zamir White, I don't know how much carries is he going to get? Are we going to see him be out there? The other running backs, obviously the Madisons, Severe's favorite running back, UCLA running back, Britton Brown, that's like one of his favorite running back in the NFL. but Sincere McCormick, guys that most likely are probably not going to make the team, but if they make a good impression, you never know. We'll see. But I think the run game, and you make a good point about the offensive line. And what's kind of interesting is JPJ has been out with a concussion. Is this something that we got to be concerned about? Because he's been out for, like, I thought it was maybe like, it was like a hamstring injury, like a lower leg injury, but he's been out because of a concussion severe. Like, is that something that we got to worry about? Like with JPJ, are they just being really cautious?
My hope is that they're just being really cautious, because to be out for that long with the concussion, that's very concerning.
Especially
when especially a rookie. I think he had some concussion issues at Oregon. He also had some other injury issues as well. So, but that's part of the reason why we were able to get a guy that should have been, a top 20 pick in the draft all the way in the second round. Were some of those injury concerns. He plays a very physical brand of football, and we are in the zone blocking scheme. Some of that zone blocking, you're going to be cutting sometimes. If you're trying to cut a guy, he can knee you in the helmet. That is an easy way to get a concussion right there. So that could be a concerning development. So, I think we're going to need him. I think he adds a level of intensity and a level of nastiness to our offensive line that is lacking from everybody, right? We don't have a single player that has that kind of nastiness to them in terms of their demeanor on the field on the offensive line. So I think we need that, and everybody plays a little bit better when you got that tough guy, kind of standing next to you, right? That kind of raises everybody's confidence, because like, okay, yeah, the JPJ got my back. So right. Man, I'm hoping he gets back out there soon.
Yeah. Yes, and another thing on as far as offensive line, this might be a surprise battle that's going on, man. Like, at first we thought Thayer Munford pretty much had the right side all but locked up, but DJ Glaze, man, he's putting his name out there. And with the injury, I think Munford got hurt during training camp with his hand, but he quickly came back. But the time that he was gone and what he's shown since Munford got hurt, and the coaches really feeling confident that with each training camp practice, Glaze been holding his own. And I think that's going to be something that we should all be taking a look at, is that right side, Mike. Like, do you think Glaze has a chance to take that starting job from Munford?
Well, I'll say this: if Colton Miller isn't ready for whatever reason, Munford's going to flip over to the left, and then I'll give a chance for Glaze to start on the right. But I think if if you had to choose one, assuming that Colton Miller is going to be good to go by week 1. I'm giving Munford the edge, not even a slight edge. I think that he's just penciled in already to be the starter. It's good to have the depth initially, right? Like, and if things don't work out, then Glaze is going to be out there, and by the season's end anyway. So there's no need to rush putting him out on the field right now. He's a rookie. He's developing. Let him get his reps in. Let him get his lumps in during practice, because he's getting his lumps for sure by that defense, Max Crosby and crew. So give him some time to develop and really grow those calluses. And when it's time for him to get on the field, he's going to be good to go. But right now, he doesn't need to. It's not time yet, unless he really has to.
So you don't think like like anything can happen during a game that can change anything. Like if let's say Glaze goes out there and just dominates the guy that's in front of him, right? But Mumford plays okay. You know, he gives up a pressure, maybe not a sack, but he's not. It's just not as good as you would want your starting right tackle to look like.
I will say it has to be clear cut 100%. Like Glaze is head and shoulders above Thayer Munford at this point for him to get that start. Now, if Glaze if it's kind of close, if it's close, you're gonna give Munford the benefit of the doubt. This is, he's the vet. He's been around. You got to give him that chance. If it's a slight edge, right? Because you also, like I said, you still want Glaze to develop a little bit more. And these rookies sometimes, I'm not saying you have to baby them, but you definitely have to be a little bit careful as far as let's throw him out there, right away off the jump, especially if you have a guy that's been around and, his feet has been to the fire already. You definitely don't want to, be like, all right, we gave you your chance in training camp, Munford. You didn't perform to expectation. Now we're just going to throw a rookie in there. You got to give Munford the chance still, just because he's been around for a while and he knows what the pro game looks like, especially during the regular season. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, maybe, training camp, maybe things were a little bit, I don't know, slow, not slower, but you had the training camp blues. This is a close race. We're gonna give you that one up just because you've been around a little bit longer. If it's kind of closer than we think, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Right. Munford basically got to really choke. He got to really choke, man, because right now DJ Glaze, I think, is putting up a little bit. I think he's surprising the coaching staff and the fact that he was able to hold his own against, like, obviously against this D line, Max Crosby, and we all heard about Max Crosby getting mad because he heard that DJ Glaze was holding his own, and he comes in and gets like 3 straight sacks or whatever the case may be. But that being said, the coaching staff recognized, like, hey, this guy was able to come in and hold his own. Right, go ahead.
On the flip side, for the sake of being optimistic, right?
Right.
Glaze, if he came out and was playing at a high level, maybe even a Pro Bowl or a really mid-level type of right tackle level, then you got to throw him in there. Like there's no doubt you definitely got to put him in there. But if he's like 50-50, shout out to you guys, 50-50. But if he's like splitting hairs with it, you know what I mean? Like you gotta go with Munford. You gotta go with Munford unless Glaze is showing that he's about to be a future Pro Bowler.
Got you. Hey, you know what? Hey, Munford might be better suited as a swing tackle. That could be possibly true about him because even Getsy admitted that, like, he's a guy that is better suited on the left side than the right side. But they're, obviously they feel good about him. They put him in the right side. We'll see how it shakes out. Something to keep an eye on. But like Severe, man, we got done talking about Thayer Munford, but DJ Glaze, obviously the rookie class. I know Big Mike, you said the guy that you're really looking forward to watch is Dylan Lobby. Severe, man, what rookie are you looking forward to this preseason game? Because I know we've been hearing a lot of good things about this rookie draft class. Guys from all over just making plays to the point where, like, you know what, Tom Telesco, man, like, first draft class, it's sounding good. You know what I mean, on paper, from what we're hearing from all these reports. But now we have a chance to watch a game against the Vikings, and obviously they're going to get plenty of playing time. What rookie are you looking forward to watch during the preseason?
Well, before I even address the rookies, man, I think we got to address the elephant in the room. Something not a lot of people are talking about, and it's something I'm really looking to see. Hey, does that change this preseason? And I'm looking to see if AP put them glasses back on, man. Is AP gonna rock these glasses?
Hold on. I got you. I'm about to find, because we've been talking about AP and the glasses. This is I'm gonna
put these glasses back on, bro. I'm interested to see that, man.
I'll say this: if we go on a 3-4 game losing streak, you putting the glasses on, bro. That's going down.
Hey, if AP puts on the glasses, it means business. You know what I mean?
It means business. Maybe we haven't decided on the quarterback yet because AP has not worn the glasses. That could be holding the whole organization back. AP.
Just throw the glasses on, bro.
Hold on. Let me say
Gotta
this.
stand on with them glasses.
That is hilarious. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Hey, look.
Man.
Hey, just hold on 1 second. I got y'all. But yeah, nah. In the meantime, before I pull this, let the people know, because we've been talking about it for a little bit, man. Since I think a few shows ago, we're talking about AP and his glasses, and it's been an inside joke. But Severe, no, now for real though, like, what rookie are you looking forward to seeing this? Because we talked about the Dylan Lobbies. Obviously, that's a good one. DJ Glaze, that's a guy that we're surprised that literally right now it sounds like there might be something brewing there, but possibly Mumford holds on to that. But that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. You got a guy that's possibly pushing for the right side. When we thought Mumford was going to be the guy, we thought Glaze was going to be a guy that's going to be developing. It's going to take some time, but he's already kind of pushing it. But now, as far as the other draft class, what other rookies are you looking at that you're looking forward to seeing during the preseason game?
So I would say the easy answer is Brock Bowers, but I'm gonna go a little bit unconventional. I'm actually going with 2 second-year guys. First of which being Tyree Wilson. There we go. There we go.
Hey, we see this. And this AP means business. He's not playing around when we see this, man. AP with the glasses, man.
Them glasses. Them lenses ain't got no prescription on there, bro. He got them glasses.
You got to prove to me you got a prescription, bro. I'm just saying.
Hey, I'm just saying. These are the glasses that got him the head coaching job. I'm telling you, man.
He got them glasses from the Compton swap meet, bro. Them 3 for
bro,
$5.
My man got those from Claire's, bro.
That's hilarious. That is funny.
But that was scary.
Now, for real, man.
I'm looking at 2 second-year guys, man. One guy who was kind of out of the blue. I never thought I would even really care about this guy at all. But the first of which is Tyree Wilson. I think we all heard, and we all hoped in the beginning of training camp, Tyree Wilson, we thought people were saying all the right things. Hey, he's coming back. Tyree's looking lean. He's looking mean. He's saying all the right things.
Right.
And, and then they got to training camp and we didn't hear a peep about Tyree Wilson, until that he kind of turned it on for that scrimmage. I think he had a few sacks that game or that scrimmage, but we didn't hear too much about him. We talked about it, on the 50-50 show where Vic Tafur was like, he's not really popping. He's not really popping. Like I've heard more about Snowden than I've heard about Tyree Wilson, right? So that's a little bit of a concern. And then the other guy, who I never thought in a million years I'd say anything positive about. And if you had asked me, to start camp, I would have said this guy would be getting cut. But that's Byron Young. I've been hearing some very good things about Byron Young. And we all know how impactful interior pressure can be. So if we have a rotation where, we already know what John Jenkins is there, right? He's going to be a space eater. But he's a space eater that does offer a little bit of a pass rush. Yeah, he does offer a little bit of a pass rush there, but his main job is he's gonna be eating up space. But then you have a rotation of Christian Wilkins, Adam Butler, and if you add a young guy in there like Byron Young, I think that can make this defense even better, right? That's what our goal is, to be able to throw pass rushers at these offensive line in waves, where in the third and fourth quarters, they've having to see a rotation that's 8 deep. So all of those guys are essentially fresh going in to close these games. So I think that's the goal there. And I think we hope Nesta J will be the guy. But he really hasn't elevated. I haven't heard much about him. He's probably a guy that's going to end up, being back on the practice squad or being out of the NFL. So to see this development from Byron Young, right? That's a guy. It's a pick I didn't like, right? Pick I did not like. We traded up for him last year. I felt Jalen Hyatt should have been the pick, and we went with Byron Young. So to see him develop, I think that is a positive development for this team.
Crazy too, Byron. Jalen Hyatt was on the board, and he was a guy that was like, we were hearing going in the first round, second round, and for him to be available around that time, I'm like, man, deep threat, speed. Imagine if we had Jalen Hyatt to this offense. You know what I mean? I understand we got plenty of weapons, y'all, But at the
He
end of
won
the
the
day, like,
Biletnikoff Award, man. Like he won the Biletnikoff Award for the nation's best receiver.
right,
Yeah.
but he would have complemented this room so well.
Perfect.
And I think you know, it was very interesting, and because, you know, shout out to Peter King, who's no longer with SI, but he was in the draft room, and he seen with his own eyes the Raiders had Jalen Hyatt as the best player on the board, and they end up going with Byron Young, and I think they kind of got nervous or desperate, or they got in their own head or their own way, thinking that, you know what, we need to get a D tackle here.
Yeah.
You know, and that in that situation, are you going best player available, or are you going for a need in the third round?
But the thing is that we still had a need. We still needed some speed at the wide receiver position. So it's not like it was a situation where it's like, oh, we don't need this at all. Like we need what he offered. Like I can see if it was like a possession receiver, like, okay, we have Jacoby and Devontae. We really don't need that skill duplication. But we needed a deep threat. We needed a guy that can take the top off a defense. And you know, and we got one in the third round, you know, if he can hang on to the ball, and Trey Tucker. So then why not take clearly the better player at that when you had the opportunity to take him, and he's rated highly on your board? Like it didn't add up, and that's why they're not with us.
Right. The better player, the more explosive player, I mean, you could argue who's more explosive, but like the fact that you just said, like he was one of the nation's best receivers in college football, a deep threat, probably the best deep threat in the draft, or one of the best deep threats in the draft, and it would have fully complemented the players that we have on our offense right now. Like, you know, it is what it is.
You know what? Hey, Severe, I gotta give you credit, bro, because you made a good point without even trying to make a good point. These second-year players, you can argue and say this is kind of like the rookie year. Whole new system. They got to pretty much erase, etch a sketch their first taste at NFL. You know, because that was a horrible way to kind of get introduced to how the NFL is operated, how you're supposed to run an organization, how coaches are supposed to, you know, operate and carry themselves. That's a bad way to learn how that's supposed to go. So this time around, yeah, you could argue and say that this is kind of like their rookie year. They're learning all over again. So I like the fact that you added those second-year players. And if we're going to do that, Jacorian Bennett is somebody I'm looking at. So, you know, that's a guy who's made leaps and bounds from where he was according to all the reports, right? So I'm really, really interested to see what he's going to bring, and hopefully he gets some good playing time, because I would love to see what you know, the changes and kind of how he's carrying himself on the field.
Yeah, no, facts, man. And the defense, you know, that leads to the defense, man. Are they as good as advertised? You know what I mean? Are they going to be playing fast? Are they going to be making plays all over their football field like they've been doing in training camp? Or have they been going against an offense that, you know, it's been, I don't know, predictable? You know, they know this offense. They're going against a different team now. It's going to be pretty vanilla. They're not going to be throwing exotic blitzes, even though the Raiders are playing a Brian Flores who loves to blitz a lot. But but usually in the preseason it's pretty straightforward. They're not going to be putting out their best stuff out there. But that being said, we would love to see the defense show out. You know, because everything, the Raiders season pretty much is hanging on a balance when it comes to the defense. That's going to be their bread and butter. That's going to make them go to that next level. I think we all can agree that the offense is going to be a work in progress, but the defense needs to be pretty much the identity of this team, just based off what we've been hearing and the playmakers and all that good stuff. The D-line being as good as from what we're hearing, that's definitely going to be huge, especially, you know, Severe, you made a good point. Tyree Wilson is a guy that I want to see. You know what I mean? I'm sure he's probably going to get plenty of playing time. He's kind of like one of the guys that's not going to be a starter, but he's going to be in the rotation. Man, Divine Diablo, you know, he lost some weight. He's been talked about as a guy, you know, we heard Marvin Lewis the other day. Didn't even hesitate. He said Adam Butler, Divine Diablo, guys that he feels like are going to be breakout players or guys he's looking forward to seeing in his defense. So that's high praise coming from Marvin Lewis. And, that's a guy. I know you, Big Mike, I agree, Jacorian Bennett. And then, shout out to the rookie class. Michael Mayer, the tight ends. You know what I mean? There's so many different storylines right here. There's so many things that we could talk about. DeCamerion Richardson, obviously, another corner who's been making plays. Like, Antonio Pierce stopped short of saying that he's going to be a potential starter on the other side, but he's been making so much plays. Who knows? You never know.
Right.
You never know, man. Everybody's talking about his length, his speed, his athleticism, and he's holding his own in training camp. So that's another guy, another rookie that we're going to be watching. So it makes the moral of the story here is that it makes preseason that much interesting. If you're a fan of football, you're a fan of the Raiders, man, definitely tune in to the game against the Vikings, because we'll be able to see all these players. They're going to get plenty of playing time. The starters, I did hear AP say that the quarterbacks are each going to get a quarter, at least one quarter. Mm-hmm. So how much of the starters from maybe the offensive line, D-line play, I'm not sure, but we'll see. We'll find out.
Who do y'all got starting? Who opens up that first series for the Raiders as the starting quarterback to kick off the Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco regime?
AOC.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so.
I think, you know what I think? I think AP's like, look, I think he, and I don't know, maybe this is my theory. I think he doesn't want to break AOC's confidence. I feel like he feels like AOC's a little bit more sensitive. He has to handle him a little bit more delicate. A guy like Minshew, he's a veteran, been there, done that. He could be a little bit more blunt, more honest, like, and even give him some type of criticism. We've heard him in the press conference talk about, oh, yeah, he needs to cut down the turnovers. But when we talk about AOC, he doesn't really make a criticism. He just says, well, players have been dropping passes and da-da-da-da-da. Like, he doesn't really get into it. The only thing that he'll say, as much as he'll say about AOC, is that the competition is still close. So I think he might start with AOC, but if Minshew obviously performs, because they're both going to get each a quarter, so it's not like. But I think AOC is going to get the start for me, in my opinion. But what were you going to say, Mike?
Just off of just having a clear stream of consciousness and just off the top of my head, my first gut feeling from what I've just popped in my head right now, from based off of what you said, bro. It seems like Gardner Minshew is a break glass in case of emergency type of guy.
Yeah.
Now, if Aiden O'Connell was complete ass, then it's like, all right, Gardner Minshew, it's your turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think that's how the situation is going to be handled. I know that they're saying it's up for grabs, but I think if it's splitting hairs, like we said, it's going to be like, man, we got to put AOC out there. We got to give him a chance because Gardner Minshew is our break glass in case of emergency guy. I think that's how it is. That's just off the top of my head right now. That's my gut feeling. It sparked that kind of thought based off what you said, bro.
It kind of reminds me of what you just said about Thayer Munford and DJ Glaze. Different types of situations, exactly. but the same kind of thought process. Like if it's close, you're probably going to go with the guy that they feel more comfortable with, that's been there or whatever the case may be. Thayer Munford, right? And then same thing with I feel like they feel more comfortable if it's close. Maybe going to AOC. They understand he's a young QB. They don't want to mess with his mind, his mental, his confidence, whatever the case may be. Right.
Right.
It might not be that serious, but I think from the Raiders' perspective, AAP's perspective, Minshew can handle anything. We could bring him off the bench. It don't matter. Like it could be if AOC messes up first game. Minshew, you come into the game.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? That. Like I think it's that type of situation. But because severe the thing is I already know where you're going with this, but go ahead and let the people know, man.
Nah, so I know you guys are zigging, so I'm going to zag here. I think that Gardner Minshew is going to be the guy. And know what? To Mike's point, right? I don't remember what show this was on, but it was a show, and there was like this guy. He had a house, and his parents were like his parents. I think their house had burned down, or it's like some kind of like disaster hit their house where they were essentially homeless, and they were living with their son. And the son was like, you know what, like didn't you guys have all these savings? Like what happened to all your savings? And the parents were like, oh yeah, well, we don't want to use that. That's our rainy day money. Well, like motherfucker, it's pouring out like rainy day. And so Mike talked about like break glass in case of emergency. This is an emergency. like have you seen, like this is an emergency, okay? Like from what I've been hearing about the quarterback play, this is the emergency. The emergency is here. The time is now. So I just think that
Man.
I think that and I like Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell, he seems like a very like a good, like a solid dude, man. He's very like diligent worker, very studious. Like like he seems like he's a very good teammate. He's a reliable guy, but I don't view him as the leader of an organization or a guy that's going to take the bull by the horns and will a team to a victory. I think he has the demeanor and the talent of a backup quarterback. And I think that Gardner Minshew has the talent of a backup quarterback. But sometimes when you're better, when you think you're better than you are, you go out there and you play above your abilities. And I think Gardner has a lot of those qualities where he's just a guy that, hey, you know what? In Gardner Minshew's mind, he's 6'4". He runs a 4.3. He can throw the ball 70 yards. Like that's what Gardner, and sometimes that'll get you into some trouble. But sometimes that type of confidence and that type of swagger is what you need. And I don't like, if you look up swaggerless in the dictionary, it's a picture of Aiden O'Connell and his mustache. Like this dude has absolutely no swagger at all, right? And no, it kills me. And what makes me like, what pisses me off? What pisses me off is that people said that we shouldn't get Russell Wilson because he's not a Raiders quarterback. But then they look at Aiden O'Connell and say, yeah, well, this guy is the end. But like, no, he has none of the trappings of a Raiders quarterback at all. He's built like a dairy farmer. Like this dude doesn't look like he doesn't look like a professional athlete. So you can't tell me that Russell Wilson didn't have the qualities of a Raiders quarterback, but Aiden O'Connell does. Like you can't tell me that. I think Aiden O'Connell is a perfectly nice guy. I think he can I think he'll have a very long career in the NFL as a backup quarterback. He's the guy that's going to do what needs to be done in the classroom and in film study, and he's going to not turn the ball over. And as a spot starter, I think he can win you some games, but he's not a guy that's going to lead your organization at the quarterback position. I don't think Gardner Minshew necessarily is either, but I think Gardner Minshew is the best of two very mid options.
Right. And the thing is, though, Severe, we're talking about right now. We're talking about right now. Yeah. I don't think we're talking about AOC being the franchise. I think we're all kind of going into it like, damn, you know what I mean? We're looking at what Penix is doing with Atlanta. We're looking at, what Hendon Hooker is doing with Detroit. We're looking at all these young quarterbacks around the league and whatever the case may be. But what we're talking about right now, and right now, you hear Telesco, you hear Pierce say, we want it to be clear cut. And guess what? The sad part is it hasn't been clear cut. So everything that you're saying about, Minshew being, Minshew's this and Minshew's that, and, he feels he's this type, but he hasn't shown the offensive coaching staff, or including, AP, the head coach, that he should be the guy, to the point where they got to go into a preseason game to possibly figure that out. So as much as we've been hearing about AOC, Minshew must be pretty bad. Because if AOC is playing like this, then Minshew got to be playing like what is he playing this much better? Like, or is it like this? You know what I mean? Like a fingernail? You know what I mean? It's like, come on. Like,
you know what this reminds me of, man? This reminds me of do you choose an off-brand tire for your car, or do you choose to replace it with a spare tire? Either
Yeah,
one, you don't want to take it on a long distance.
Right.
You
exactly.
know what I mean? Like
Nah, fact.
it's one of those situations. Either way, next year we're gonna be getting a quarterback. We better be getting a quarterback next year. You know
Yeah.
that's bottom line. Next year we need a quarterback. That's
Right.
really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Nah,
No,
I
I
agree.
agree. I agree
Nah,
100%. But yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
look at it like this. If you look at, I think the fact that I think Aiden O'Connell started out with a head start. This wasn't like an even race in the beginning because Antonio Pierce already had an affinity for Aiden O'Connell, and he made it clear he was going to give Aiden O'Connell every opportunity to win the job.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Aiden O'Connell has done that. And then I also think that while their play has been basically, for the most part, even, the highest highs so far have been from Gardner Minshew. Like during that scrimmage, I don't think any player has had a day as good as Gardner Minshew had during that scrimmage. And I think that, that's a time when the Bullets were as live as they could be in that kind of setting. And I think he outperformed Aiden O'Connell. And I think, ironically, Aiden O'Connell in that kind of setting had his worst day. So I think like that like, and I compared it to your final exam, right? Like all these pop quizzes, maybe hey, maybe it's a C this day for Gardner Minshew and a D this day, and maybe Aiden O'Connell has a C this day and a D this day. But when it came to that final, Gardner Minshew went out there with a B or B minus, and Aiden O'Connell put up a D or an F. And I think that's going to leave a lasting image in your mind, especially with the turnovers. Gardner Minshew had one turnover that day, and it's a pass that went off Trey Tucker's hands.
Well, and then he responded on Monday with having the worst day out of both quarterbacks after the scrimmage, and then it's just like it is what it is, man. But let me say this. Let me say this. The other day on social media, I posed a question because the beat writer was talking about an interception by both quarterbacks. AOC threw an interception in double coverage, and Minshew threw an interception where he overthrew a receiver, and I believe Morig or one of the safeties got an interception. So what's worse? You throw an interception in double coverage, or you throw an interception when you overthrow a receiver and you throw it to the other defense, the other team? What's worse? I'm gonna pose that question.
Oh man.
So
it's
Because
I'll let you talk. Go ahead, Mike.
Imagine
Go
just
ahead,
watching
Mike.
the game. You're just watching the game, right? You're just watching the game, and then let's say one of these quarterback, whoever does this, right? What is going to get you more mad? Is it going to be the
I think that's a
double
different
coverage
question.
pass, or
I think that's a different question.
no? It's the same thing. It's the same
No,
thing because you're going to be watching the
it's not. It's
game,
not
right?
the same thing.
It
It's
is
not
the
the same
same.
thing. It's not the same
How's it
thing.
not?
You asked me what's going to get me more. What's going to get me more mad? What's going to get me more mad?
I said what's worse. I didn't say nothing about
What's
being
worse?
mad, but
Yeah, no. What's worse? See, those are two different
right.
things. What's worse and what's going to get me more mad? What's going to get me more mad is the overthrow of the wide open receiver, because I'm going to be yelling at the screen. He was wide open. What the f were you doing? But
Exactly.
what's worse is the interception and double coverage, because that's not only is that a bad throw, but that's a bad decision. Like when you're throwing to a wide open receiver, that's a bad throw. A bad decision and a bad throw, you're compounding two bad things together. But if I'm
Right.
watching TV and I'm watching the game, I'm gonna be yelling at the top of my lungs if you overthrow a wide open receiver. I'm gonna be pissed the f off. I'm not gonna be quite as mad into double coverage. I'm gonna still be mad. So I'm gonna still ask, like, why are you throwing that ball there? But if I see a guy wide open, that's gonna piss me off. That the throw was missed.
It's splitting hairs, man. Like, but it
Yeah.
really comes down to I'm gonna be pissed off about your thought process before an overthrow, because overthrows I can live with. Taking away the possibility of an interception, right? If somebody throws in a double coverage and it doesn't get picked off, I'm pissed off about it. Like, what are you looking at, bro? You know what I mean? But if you overthrow the ball, like, all right, dang, you just missed him. All right, get it next time. I'm mad about it, but it's like, all right, next time you got it. For me,
But
it's
Mike,
like you're throwing in a double coverage. You're like, what is your thought process with that? What are you thinking? It
So at
almost
least you
feels
make the
like you
right
shouldn't be
read
on
on
the
the
field.
but Mike, both plays result in interceptions. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Both plays, the
Yeah.
overthrow, it ends in an interception because he overthrows and it goes to, let's say, the safety that was back there, and then obviously the double, it's double coverage, and the other guy, let's say, grabs that interception. Both end in an interception. What's worse though? Is that overthrow that ends in an interception, or is it that double coverage that ends in an interception? And let's be honest, usually, I'm gonna throw it out there. Usually, like if a quarterback is throwing it in double coverage, usually it's like guys like Devontae Adams and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? Guys that well,
but was that the case?
well, it was Devontae Adams in training camp. Yeah.
No, but was that the case though? I mean, like, look, Jacoby is still there. So I think that's a very important caveat. Who was the receiver that was being double covered?
Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me.
And then on top of that
I think we all know who it was. We know the receiver who has of short stature with short arms and who's had a drop problem. So of all the guys in camp you're choosing to throw into double coverage for, this is the receiver you chose to throw into double coverage to Trey Tucker?
thought process.
Really?
Processing.
That
Processing information.
That goes to your decision making. And I can see on an overthrow where you're like, hey, you know what? I'm trying to lead a guy. I'm trying to get those extra yardage. And maybe, hey, you know what? You overdo it. You know, and because like oftentimes we see guys that are running deep, running wide open, and quarterbacks leave it short. And you're like, damn, if you would have let him, that'd have been a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see where that happens where, hey, you know what? I'm trying to lead him out there. I'm trying to get those extra yards. Overthrows it. The guy makes a play on it. But if you're throwing into double coverage to a 5'2" receiver with short arms that has drop problems, that's bad decision making all around and a bad throw at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you could look at it this way: it's training camp, and what do we always hear? You know, quarterbacks are testing their limits. They're testing what they can and can't do. But then, a guy like Minshew, he can't hit an open receiver down the middle. You know what I mean? Come on now.
Look,
Come on now.
look, it's like sometimes and it's an
interception,
there, right?
And it's
like
crazy.
It's
crazy
that
what's
there
worse.
And you're shooting your shot. You know, you're shooting your shot. You see some ladies in the club and you're shooting your shot. If I see Holly Berry in the club, I'm not gonna be like, yo, I'm about to go smash. like there's like the Holly Berry's not the one I'm testing my game on, right? Like you don't test your limits throwing into double coverage to Trey Tucker. Like a guy that's been dropping passes for the past week, a guy that's not a jump ball receiver. You know, like that's not who you test that on. Like, hey, if you're saying like, hey, you know what, Ramel Keaton, let me see what he had. He's a big guy. He's supposed to be a big body receiver, a possession kind of guy. Let me see what he can do. Like, I'm not testing that with Trey Tucker.
I agree, and it's context behind it, right? So, if let's just put it in a situation. I know this was we're talking about a practice situation, but let's flip it in if it was a game situation. Mm-hmm. They're down and they need a drive to score, right? And you go in a double coverage and you throw an interception. You know, say there's no timeouts, you're very low with time. All right, he was taking a risk because at some point you got to take a risk, right?
I'm good with that.
Yeah, if you throw a long pass and it's a bad throw to where it's an interception, then that's like, okay, your accuracy, decision making, all that is worse. Yeah, in that situation, but it's not all across the board where one is worse than the other. Sometimes, second quarter, double coverage throw kills the momentum of the game. That's worse than a long pass being thrown over for an interception, because then that's processing, that's decision making. You know what I mean? That's it just depends on the time of game, what's going on. So to me, it's tough because there's got to be some context behind it.
Yeah, context matters. I agree there.
Yeah, context matters, but it's training camp, and this is what the preseason game is hopefully gonna like let us figure out. We're gonna see with our own eyes which one of these quarterbacks is gonna look the part. We all have heard that Gardner Minshew is not the perfect practice player, but but during the game he turns it on. He turns into a different player. Hey, I hope that's the case. Maybe he could be that guy for the Raiders. At the very least, be a game manager to complement, this defense. We run the ball well. That could be, obviously, I feel like we can all agree. Like, I think that quarterback position is going to be, we're going to need to upgrade at that position. Hopefully next offseason. Hopefully it's in the draft. Hopefully we don't sign no quarterback to like no big time contract where it kind of limits us from continuing to build this roster and continue to add depth. But, it is what it is. I hopefully the draft is the way, but
should have signed Russell Wilson. I'm saying it, man, but he's not a Raider. All right, whatever.
I mean, we'll see. I mean,
28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, man. Come on, man.
Do you think?
I digress.
Do you think Russell Wilson will become available if Fields becomes the guy at quarterback? Because they're saying that he's kind of, turning some heads. The team is kind of like, behind Justin Fields a little bit because he got the head start with, Wilson getting hurt or missing the first week of training camp. So there might be a little quarterback controversy early on, but would you say there's a possibility that Russell Wilson's like, if I don't get the starting job, then, and there's an opportunity with the Raiders, do you think that would be a good move? I'm just throwing it out there, man.
I think it's too late. I think it's too late. I will say this. I think it's too late in the process. I mean, he has to learn a whole new offense, has to learn these receivers. I think it's too late in the process because Russell Wilson's. I put it like this: the Chicago Bears, and not Chicago Bears, the Pittsburgh Steelers have already had their preseason game, and from what I'm hearing from Pittsburgh Steelers fans, they're like, yeah, Russell Wilson. He's week one. He's week one starter. He's the week one starter. Like Mike Tomlin was on the sideline ripping the offense a new one. I think there was multiple fumbled snaps. Justin Fields doing the same old thing where he's holding the ball way too long and you're not seeing open receivers. And so Pittsburgh fans weren't impressed and Chicago Bears fans were like, yep, same old Justin Fields. So I think that unless he comes out these next 2 games and unless he comes out like gangbusters and Russell Wilson lays an egg, Russell Wilson will remain entrenched as a starter there.
Yeah, man. I'm just throwing it out there, man. It might be a possibility because there's always going to be those surprise cuts. There's always going to be those players that come available, and that's where having that extra cap space comes in. It's a little strategic advantage to have some money here where you can sign some players and be like, ooh, okay. You know what? We went through training camp, went through preseason. We're kind of weak at this position. What players can we pick up from other teams? Another man's trash is another man's treasure, right? So that can be the case.
Speaking of that, man, we didn't talk about this at all, but Juju Smith-Schuster just got cut by the Patriots, and I know a lot of people have been talking about that. Like, well, we got a guy at the third receiver who's trying to be our wide receiver 3. He's got the dropsies. Do we pick up a Juju Smith-Schuster? Me personally, I don't think it's a good move. But for the people out there that's going to mention that, what do you guys think about it?
I'm not a fan of it just because it's just we're already like slow at that receiver spot. You know what I mean? It's just we need to add some speed, man. I like what we're hearing from Ramal Keaton. You know what I mean? Like I'm hearing like Severe. I know you call him a possession receiver, but some of the guys are talking about how like his speed, his explosiveness.
He has speed. He's a guy that can win in contested catch. That's what I meant. Like he can win in contested catch situations.
Okay. Yeah. So he's played well. So that might be a guy that might. But I think if we do pick up a receiver, I would like personally a guy that has a little bit more speed, and I feel like it will complement our offense. But as far as Juju, I think he's just getting up there in the age, and I don't know if it's a good fit. I don't think it fits.
I agree with you.
Yeah, man. I'm in agreement there. I mean, it's almost like we'd be like replacing Michael Gallup with Michael Gallup, like okay, so like and then Juju Smith, he went to a terrible college. Like, what that snake?
What you talking about, bro?
That's
why. Let me go find my hat real quick, bro.
That's why he brought it up. Okay, that's that USC connection right there. Okay.
But know what's crazy though? Know what's crazy is that I remember when when AB left the Steelers, and then he was basically like, "Yeah, bro, I made you." Like, like, let's see what you do when I'm not there. And then
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh yeah, man, Juju, he's gonna be this," and then Juju ain't done a damn thing since AB been gone, bro. He ain't done a damn thing since AB been gone. And what's even worse, right, is that the Patriots let Jacoby Myers go, and they gave Juju Smith the same exact contract we gave Jacoby Myers. And look who's one of the best number 2 wide receivers in the league, and look who's just recently been cut.
I like Jacoby. I don't necessarily think he's a number 1, but he's a really good number 2. Especially, he can be even better if he has a lot more speed on the other side. Like, this dude would win. Imagine having a Henry Ruggs with Jacoby Myers. You know what I mean? Let alone Henry. I don't want to bring that up. That's a whole different. The what if possibility with that? That's just it is what it is. But hey, look, you know what? Hey, look, we're excited about the game. We're looking forward to the game, man. Make sure to tune in. We'll be ready to talk about it and talk about the reaction to what happened and all that good stuff. But let's get into, man. Hey, let's get into. You know what? It's a newly name segment here, man. Before we called it Comments of the Week. Now it's called Around the Nation. You know what I mean? We want to hear. This is where we hear from the nation, man. We want to hear from y'all. And last show we got into we got into a lot of different conversations, and we bring this. Make sure to comment. You'll be a part of Around the Nation. And let's see the first comment here. Let me bring it up. Let's see where it pops up. Okay, we got Jed Cooper 443, man. Appreciate you commenting here. He says, "Big Mike Raider, another year. Looking forward to your cast, your forecast. I don't know, your content. Yes, we have podcast, a QB issue. Okay, podcast. There you go. Yes, we have a QB issue. I like AOC, but he's too immobile. Pocket passes are a thing of the past unless you have a massive O-line. The D-backs are so fast now that QB has to be mobile and accurate. Minshew has been around. If he was any good, he'd have, hooked up by now. I guess, he'll probably been a starter. I like AP, but I think McDaniels put us back more than we know." What do you got to say about this, Mike?
I love the comment. This is exactly what we were talking about. This is exactly my point. We got 2 backups right now. That's really what it is. Severe said it. It's right on the money. I agree with him 100%. But one thing that we do got to talk about is McDaniels. He passed up on some quarterbacks to pick the guy that fits in his system. And Hendon Hooker was out there. There was guys out there that should have been picked up instead of him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Aiden O'Connell fit the mold of a Tom Brady, a guy who's going to be a statue in the pocket under Josh McDaniels' system. And now we're left over with that. I'm not saying Aiden O'Connell's not going to be good. I'm still giving him a chance. He hasn't done anything to hurt himself at this point. He's had a average camp. You know what I mean? And that's kind of a slight knock because we want him to be great. But let's look at what's really going on with it.
Right.
Josh McDaniels picked up a guy in the 4th round that should have been, if we would have got a different quarterback, we would have had a better chance. We just saw Hendon Hooker, I just mentioned him. We saw him have a pretty decent game. He's moving around the pocket. He's doing a lot of things that we hope for in the quarterback position. Everybody was talking about how, he's a little bit older. He's coming off an injury and things like that. But if I had to choose between Aiden O'Connell and Hendon Hooker, I'm still going Hendon Hooker these days.
Yeah.
So, that's we really got to talk about how that last statement, AP, we like AP, but I think McDaniels put us back a lot more than we think. If that is the case, it will be because this year we don't have a quarterback because Josh McDaniels didn't make the right decision in 22. Was it 22? In 2022 or 23, whatever.
Right.
That year he drafted O'Connell. So that's definitely something we got to consider. It's early. I'm not giving up on Aiden O'Connell by any means, but we want to see better from him if he's going to be considered our quarterback. And as far as Minshew goes, yeah, if he was a good, and I was about to say this when you said it, when you were mentioning Minshew about him not being a great practice player, but he shows up when it's the game time. Just imagine if he was a pretty good practice player. We'd be talking about him in the same regard as a Brett Favre. He has a similar tangibles, what he does brings to the table as a Brett Favre, but it's not consistent. So that's what we're looking for.
He don't got the arm too. He don't got the.
He doesn't have the arm. Yeah, he doesn't have the arm. But the gunslinger mentality,
right.
So the way he kind of carries himself too, that kind of carelessness. But yeah, that kind of stuff, and
right.
That's the reason why he can't find a team, is because he's not polished. So though that is a problem, that could be a problem for us, but we're rooting for Aiden O'Connell to get things done, man. That's the big unknown. We kind of know what we're getting with Minshew. We don't know exactly what we're getting from Aiden O'Connell, so that brings us hope as Raider fans.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that pops out to me, and I kind of agree with this, man, where he says pocket passes are a thing of the past. And I think what he's talking about is not the fact that a QB can be a pocket passer. I think the pure pocket passers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings. I think today's quarterback is not built that way anymore. I don't think the league is built that way. I think you got to have a little bit of athleticism. You got to have that ability to buy some time, use your legs, as well as be a guy that can drop back and be a pocket passer. You got to have the whole package in today's NFL. And if you don't, then it's severely gonna, shout out Severe Raider, man. It's severely gonna hold you back, man. It's gonna definitely hold you back, man. And I think hopefully AOC could overcome that, but I think that's one of the biggest things with AOC is that the fact that he's not able to make those second reaction plays. What happens when somebody's not open? What happens when he gets pressure? Those are the things that we want to see him overcome. What is he gonna do? What's his calling card? What is he gonna do in those type of situations? Is he gonna get rid of the ball? Is he gonna dip it? What is he gonna do? And hopefully we'll find out in preseason, man. But good shout out to Jed Cooper, man. Appreciate the comment. Let's move it along, man. I think this one's for me. He said it doesn't matter. Put the best players on the field. So this is basically when we were talking about AOC and Minshew last week, and we were talking about the fact that, like, at the end of the day, if it's I said, is it close? If it's close, I think we should go with AOC. If it's clear cut that Minshew is the guy, then obviously we give it to Gardner Minshew. I feel like it just makes sense to go that route. In my opinion, I think AOC, there is a little bit of an unknown factor. We don't know what it possibly can turn into just because he's a young quarterback, or he's 2 years younger than Minshew. I get he's 26.
Come on, bro. It's like he's not a young quarterback.
He has a better arm.
An experienced quarterback.
But he has a better arm. He does have a better arm than Minshew. He does have a better arm.
By how much?
And more accurate too. More accurate. I think
more accurate. Yeah.
You're more accurate. We can say that for sure. We can say that for sure. I think that's one of Minshew's weaknesses is his accuracy can be erratic at times. But I think Minshew, he's the guy that, there is a bit of a what if with with AOC. Minshew, we kind of know what we're getting. At this point, we're not really waiting for what he's going to do in practice because he's never been that type of player. We're kind of like, all right, let's see what happens when the game comes on. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with this offense? What are you going to do with these weapons? That's why we're looking forward to this preseason game against the Vikings. So, no, I agree. We need to put the best players out there. But if it's not clear cut, then it's debatable, right? It doesn't matter which way we go, right? It doesn't matter. It does matter, but I think everybody's going to chime in and say that, oh, we should have went this way because it's super close. You see what I'm saying? So I agree. In a perfect world, you put the best players on the field. But if it's super close, then who is it up to put the player that it's going to be pretty much whatever the coaching staff feels that's going to work for them. I mean, like I don't know, man. It's one of those. I think in football, it's just one of those things that it's always going to be debate when there's a close battle. Right now, we were talking about not just the quarterback position. We were talking about DJ Glaze and Thayer Mumford. No one's talking about that, but that can possibly be a battle that goes down to the wire. Who knows? That outside corner
DJ
spot.
Turner versus Trey Tucker. That's turning into a
Hey,
battle.
hey,
Hey,
hey, that's a
that's
good
a
one.
fact.
That's a good one. That's definitely a good one because Trey Tucker, man, as much as we've heard, he's one of those guys that had a really good offseason. He's come into training camp and he's been dropping everything. From what it sounds like, we just keep every training camp practice we're hearing him drop passes. And if you're gonna be a guy that comes in, you got to be a guy that needs to be relied on. Like they got to be able to rely on you. And if he's not that guy, then obviously you're making your position open for grabs. And DJ Turner sounds like a guy like Antonio Pierce the other day went out his way to shout out DJ Turner. Man, he's a guy that he's definitely gonna make the roster. He's definitely gonna make the team.
And Antonio Pierce all but said like he's making the roster. He's essentially was like, he's special teams and what he's doing offense. He's going to make the roster.
Right. But hey, man, I agree with you, Rich. Man, I appreciate the comment. Appreciate you watching, man, and supporting the show. But let's move it along, man. And this one right here is for Severe. We got steady mobbing. Man. Appreciate the comment. He says we need Eichenberg more than we needed Rattler. Ooh, okay. This one's gonna be a good one for Severe. Eichenberg is a sure lock to be a great traditional linebacker. Diablo is trash as fuck, and we need a young player to come in and give us some consistency at linebacker position other than Spillane. Rattler's very similar to Gardner, and there's better arm. Rattler definitely got a better arm, but. Okay, and there's no guarantee that he'll develop into a player that we need him to be. I think that it was smart to add all these good young players so that if we do spend a lot to move up in the draft, we'll be as good as far as depth pieces, being able to develop and add value in the near future. Okay, so he likes the strategy that the Raiders are doing. They're building depth. They're putting they're drafting the best players available, and eventually, when it's time to make that move, the player that they trade up to make that big time move, he'll come to a team that's set to succeed. I think that's what he's trying to say, right? But Severe, what are your thoughts, man?
So I mean, like I when I watch people's thought processes, it's very interesting. Somehow, Tommy Eichenberg is a sure lock to be a great traditional like based on nothing at all. He's just a sure lock to be a great traditional linebacker. And somehow Spencer Rattler, who as I said ad nauseum, at one point was considered a top 10 quarterback in the draft, who a lot of people said had some of the best arm talent in this prior draft class, with a guy like Caleb Williams, with a guy like Joe Milton, with a guy like Michael Penix, right? In a class with those quarterbacks, he was still considered one of the best arm talents in that draft. So, I mean, I think that our need at quarterback greatly outweighed our need at linebacker. And if you can get a guy with the level of arm talent and a guy who has been the starter at two very good college programs, if you look at Oklahoma and you look at South Carolina, a guy who has dealt with some adversity. And I think that's one of the things that when these GMs are looking at players, I want to say Antonio Pierce talked about it in the past, right? You want a guy who has had to overcome something. You had a guy in Spencer Rattler who was the number one high school quarterback, who was so famous as a high school quarterback. He had a show or series made about him, which ultimately turned out to be a big mistake because that ended up hurting his draft stock. He goes to Oklahoma as the guy, right? He has a good season, and then he comes back the next year, doesn't play as well, loses his job, has to enter the transfer portal, go to another school, go to a team in a tougher division with less talent, where he has, his number one, or a guy who's supposed to be one of his number one receivers, and Drew Scruggs gets hurt. His other guy is Xavier Legette. His two next, best receiving options are tight ends. I think the third and fourth are running backs. So he's essentially over there with nothing, with a poor offensive line. He has to overcome all this stuff, and he overcomes it. And the coach and staff over there sings his praises as a leader, talks about how mature he is, how he handled himself in the face of that adversity. As I already alluded to, Antonio Pierce is looking for a guy who's dealt with some adversity. So you have all that combined with his talent. I think you can get that in the later rounds when our quarterbacks are Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Like if you just take what he's doing in New Orleans and he duplicates that here, like he's probably the clear-cut starter. Tommy Eichenberg is still clearly behind Robert Spillane and clearly behind Devon Diablo, who was a trash as fuck according to Steady Mobbin, but who one of the best defensive coordinators of all time, or a very winning head coach, and during the regular season, Marvin Lewis says is one of his breakout players. So I think we just have to, we have to watch these narratives. We have a narrative around Devon Diablo that he's trash, but he's been a very solid linebacker when he's healthy. He's just been hurt. And Tommy Eichenberg, we've never seen play. If Tommy Eichenberg was this sure lock to be a great traditional linebacker, he'd probably be drafted before the 5th round. Or is it that the linebacker position has become so devalued that even a good linebacker isn't worth more than the 5th round pick? Which tells me that if we can get this great traditional linebacker in the 5th round this year, then maybe next year we can get a great traditional linebacker in the 4th round or a 3rd round, right? So we had an opportunity to get a guy who was considered the best prospect at his position at one time in the 5th round, and we elected to pass on him for the quality of a linebacker who we could probably get in the 3rd or 4th round next year. I think, like if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Yeah, and you know what too? Now that I'm thinking about it, it's just like I would feel a lot better if we had Spencer Rattler. Honestly.
So much better, bro. I'd feel a lot better if we had Joe Milton. I'd feel a lot better. I'd be okay. We have a young guy here at least.
Because what do we get out of that? What do we get out of upside? We get upside,
bro. It's gotten so bad. People are checking on Anthony Brown. Like, yo, man, can this Anthony Brown guy what is like that's how bad it's been. People are like, man, Anthony Brown he can do something. Like, bro, it's
I'm guilty of that.
I was and look, I was like, I jokingly I put it on Instagram every time Anthony Brown makes a nice throw. I put QB1 out there, but it's like like it's like I respect Eichenberg for what he is. I think he's a 2-down linebacker who has the potential. Maybe he can develop into a 3-down linebacker like Robert Spillane did, but I don't think he's ever going to be some elite player at his position. I think Spencer Rattler has the potential to develop into a pretty good NFL starter, and I'd rather pretty good. I think you look at positional value, the quarterback position holds way more value than the middle linebacker, especially when you already have a guy here that if you want to keep, just pay him.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Look, man, I'm gonna be outside of the Raiders. I'm gonna be following along some of these players that we've gone through the draft process where who we should have got, who we thought we were getting, and you know what I mean. Maybe the offensive line that went to the Saints, they got in the 1st round. You know what I mean. And then Fuaga, and then you got Spencer Rattler, who, for what I'm hearing in training camp, he's killing. I'm hearing that I'm seriously saying like Spencer Rattler is killing, and to the point where like they got people thinking like he's gonna be. There's a possible chance that he could take Derek Carr's spot at some point in the season. Who knows? You know what I mean? It's still early. It's training camp.
Or
get it.
Or trade up to number 8 and get the quarterback.
Man. That would.
That's actually a pretty good idea, Mike. I like it.
I don't know. It sounds crazy. It sounds like something I heard from somewhere. 3 brothers talking about making that move somewhere at some point.
I don't know, bro. I was looking at some of the plays that Penix was. Man, when I'm watching him play, I'm like, bro, he would fit this offense so well with the playmakers we have at almost every level, like from tight end to receiver. It's just like, oh man.
What's crazy is that guy was like, we don't need Spencer Rattler, right? And then I responded to the comment in the comment section, but I'll just read this. This came from from a beat reporter that works for New Orleans, and this happened like the very next day after the guy made this comment. Spencer Rattler was 7 for 8 with 4 TDs during team drills and 2 for 3 with 2 TDs during 7-on-7s. When has any quarterback we've had on our roster had a day even half as good as that? 7 for 8 with 4 touchdowns in team drills? Like those guys might have 4 touchdowns total this entire training camp.
Severe, nah, bro, nah. Stop talking about that, man. We're rolling what we got now, man. This is the Raiders. We're talking about the Raiders.
Right.
That's our team. Let's talk about the Raiders.
I would love to have that kind of upside, man. I would love to have that kind of upside.
Hey,
he wouldn't do that against this defense, but I'd love to have that upside.
So have the Saints played their preseason game yet? You know, I know we haven't. Okay,
I don't believe
they haven't
so.
played. Not yet.
So.
Not yet.
I don't think the Bears have either.
We'll see. We'll see how we'll pay attention to what Spencer, because I know Spencer Rattler. He's battling for that number 2 spot with Jake Hayner. So
yeah,
I mean, the way, for what it sounds like, it looks like he has a good chance to win it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, man. And then you brought up Joe Milton. He was making plays out there for the Patriots. They were talking about him in training camp. He was making plays. That being said, he was listed as a 4th stringer. But not gonna lie, the situation we have, I wouldn't mind a Joe Milton back there, just so we like, if all else fails, we got some young quarterback where he doesn't really have to do, because the way the Raiders are built right now, the quarterback he has what he needs to be successful. He has the receivers, He got the running backs, I feel like our running backs is solid. Until we see it, we'll see it unfold. But I feel like we feel good about our running back room. But I know confidently we can all say our receiver room is good. I can know confidently we like our tight ends.
Yes.
O-line is coming together. I just think that we got some pieces on offense where a quarterback can come in and be successful. But it is. Hey, I don't want to speak too soon. We're gonna wait until this Vikings game plays out. We'll see. We'll see what Minshew does. We'll see what AOC does. And we'll be here to talk about it. And I hope they both have a great game and they keep things interesting. But that being said, that leads us, man, to Extra Point, man. It's that time, man. We just introduced this segment, man. This is where we have last thoughts about what's going on around the NFL, man. And I'm gonna start off with Mike. You brought this to my attention. I'm gonna put this on the screen so everybody can see, man. And it's a top 10 list. The top 10 coordinators, both offense and defensive coordinators. And you got something to say about this, man. I'm gonna put this just a second, man. I'm gonna put it on the screen so everybody can see. Oh man, this is crazy. All right, hold on one second. Let me get it set up real quick. Here we go. Let me set you up here. Hold on one second. Boom. All right. Mike, you with us? I don't know if you.
I'm here, bro. I'm here. I'll be in the background, bro. Just talking my talk, bro.
Hold on.
Still here,
I got you. Oh man, where you at, Mike?
I'm the yellow dot right here, man.
I got you.
There we go.
I got you. There you go. All right, Mike, man. Talk your shit, bro. All
right, man. So according to this is shout out to the 33rd team. I really like following them. They got some good content on X. They do great work. This is their top 10 coordinators this season. And I'm gonna just really focus more in on the defensive coordinators. Steve Spagnuolo, Jim Schwartz, Ejiro Evero. You guys had to tell me about him. I didn't really know too much about him. You guys schooled me on that one. And Vic Fangio. Correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of these guys have gotten a chance to sniff head coaching positions, at least 3 of the 4 guys that I've just named, right?
Yeah.
So where is Patrick Graham? My question is, where's Patrick Graham? Considering that he's the hottest name for a head coaching consideration next year, pending a complete failure this year, right? If it's a complete failure, disregard, right? But as advertised, this defense, the Raiders defense, is a top 10. Some people are talking about top 5 for them, So in that case, where is the hot name Patrick Graham? If it was a hot name anywhere else, for example, a Ken Dorsey, hot name as an offensive coordinator, he's already out there.
Didn't he get fired? He got fired, right?
Exactly. But he's a hot name, right? He's a hot name. I think that Patrick Graham is a hot name. The Raiders defense was playing at a number 1 position since Josh McDaniels left the building. They played like a number 1 defense since he left the building. They got on paper they're probably going to bring another top 5 defense performance, maybe even best in the league, according to some people. So my question is, what do the Raiders got to do? What do they got to do as far as defense goes to get some respect from anybody, to even get on anybody's top 10 consideration? PFF has them as a number 8, number 9 top defense coming into this year. So how does that not equate to a hot name? Like I said, a guy that's looking for, it has high considerations throughout the league to be the next head coach. But the guys that are on this list have already seen head coaching spots before and failed.
Right.
So where is Patrick Graham on this list? I think that he's being shorted, and I hope this defense use this as more motivation for this year. And I don't really believe in the motivation thing, poke the bear thing, but you got to be pissed off. You definitely got to be pissed off.
Yeah. Nah, I hear you, man. You can argue too, Vic Fangio, maybe shouldn't be on this top 10 list based off recent history. You know what I mean? Because right now maybe he's on there because of reputation. We all understand that Vic Fangio has been one of the best coordinators in football, but he went to Miami, and that was, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. Once one season they pretty much let him go. He ended up going to the Eagles. And from what I'm hearing, it's early. There's so much talent with that Eagles defense. I wouldn't be surprised if they play well. But I'm hearing that in training camp, the defense hasn't looked as good as advertised. And that will be very disappointing, just thinking about the talent they have on defense. Just think about that D-line. Obviously, they've added some pieces in the secondary. They added a linebacker on a really cheap deal. I think Devin White, depending on how you guys feel about him, I understand, like, some people might say he's overrated and this, that, and the third. But
he's a great traditional linebacker.
Nah, for real. But you can argue Vic Fangio, does he deserve to be on a list? You can say, like, Patrick Graham deserves to be on this list right now, because it's all about now, right? There's a top 10 coordinator list this season, right? Right now, Patrick Graham is going into his 3rd year in the defense.
Yeah, and that's another thing. You were telling me about Ivero. The Panthers aren't really picked to do much of anything on defense, or and he's I'm sure what is this, his 1st or 2nd year under that system? Like, how is that considered higher than what Patrick Graham has done? Like, I don't understand. That was my problem with it. And then you got another guy like Drew Petzing for the Cardinals. Like, how is his name on there? Like, to me, it's like, what is this based off of? You know what I mean? Like, are we doing our full due diligence here, man? But I do like what the 33rd team does. I'm not trying to knock them completely on everything that they do, but this list is not thorough. I would have even Tom Flores on here over anybody else. So, we're gonna
Brian Flores.
Yeah, Tom Flores, Brian Flores. I'm thinking
you kept it real. You kept your super Raiders. It's like, man,
super Raiders. Brian Flores, not Tom Flores.
Hey, Al Davis would be proud right now, man.
Brian Flores, I would have him there, bro. Like, as a top guy. I mean, he's if things didn't go the way it went in Miami, he'd be possibly still a head coach or head coach elsewhere. he might be a head coach elsewhere next year. So
I will say though, I do like some of the names on the list, man. I like Steve.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Like we know his history as a coordinator. Ben Johnson, one of the best OCs out there. Jim Shorts, he got that Cleveland defense playing well. I mean, we know the talent they have, but he has them playing well. Arthur Smith, I like him as an OC. I don't know why or how, the Raiders didn't consider him in that spot, but maybe this might be reputation because obviously, his history with, being an OC with the Titans, and then, he becomes a head coach. It didn't work out. Classic case of, better OC than head coach. So maybe reputation there. Ejiro Evero, like a lot of people like this guy, up and coming guy that people are talking about being that next head coaching candidate. Bobby Slowick, we see the job he's doing with
hot name, with
CJ Stroud, you know what I mean. He's probably gonna be the next guy up at head coach. He was interviewing for spots this offseason. Ken Dorsey, see, this is where it gets shaky here. Right here. It starts getting shaky, right? Yeah, Ken Dorsey got fired. The Buffalo offense, underperformed.
Fired.
Yeah, they fired him.
You had Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, and you couldn't make that offense work, bro.
Right. Vic Fangio, he didn't coach that Dolphins defense up to, what they thought they could be, and he was gone after one season. And then so this spot right here, at the very least, I agree with you. Patrick Graham should definitely be up in this top 10 list for sure. But hey, guess what, man? I like the position that the Raiders are in. I want them to feel disrespected. I want them to feel disrespected. This is a great position for the Raiders. I don't want the league to just tell them what they want to hear, and the Raider players are like, oh yeah, we're good and this and that third. No, I want them to feel disrespected. I like what Jack Jones had to say and how we hear all the talk. You know what I mean? I'm sure Antonio Pierce, if he's doing his job at head coach, he's reminding them. So I like where the Raiders are at, and where if they feel disrespected, that's a great position to be in. But I agree, Patrick Graham should be in this top 10 spot right here, man. So yeah, shout out to Mike, man. Good one. This was a good extra point. But that being said, let's move it along, man. Let's see, Severe, man. I know you got something for the. I know you got something for the nation, and I think you wanted to bring up something, and I'm going to pull up the clip here. And this was a clip the other day with beat writer Tashawn Reed, right?
Yeah, beat writer Tashawn Reed, and he was on the podcast with another NFL reporter, Greg Rosenthal. And, I think we sometimes, us Raider fans, we get in a little bit of a bubble, and it almost comes like a feedback loop, right? We hear all these guys saying the same thing. We're seeing the same players over and over again, and we don't get an outside perspective. And I think that, and this particular podcast, we got a perspective from two people. Tashawn Reed, who was actually one of my favorite Raiders reporters. I think he keeps it real, he keeps it fair, keeps it impartial. And, there's kind of no biases there. I don't think he has a dog in the fight when he's talking about it. You can kind of trust what he says. You have Greg Rosenthal, who was an outsider, looking in. And they had some very interesting things to say about the quarterback position, which has, basically been the hot topic among NFL people when they talk about the Raiders, because that's essentially what could make or break our season.
All right, here we go. Let's play this clip.
I got to say, for my one day of scouting here, just the arm, I thought he maybe had plus arm strength, and maybe I don't see that. He has a bigger arm than Gardner Minshew, but not even a plus arm. So
no, his thing is more accuracy.
Yeah.
But the issue has been, like, as I said, when things kind of get off schedule a little bit and he has to create, and you have to move around and make throws on the run and maybe make throws that are a little bit more difficult, that's when it starts to break down for him. And so for me, Aiden, I don't he was a day 3 pick.
Right.
He's a good backup, I think, in my mind, who can be a spot starter in a situation. If you get that out of a day 3 pick at a quarterback, that's a win. But they're asking him to be something that's much more than that, in terms of competing for a full-time starting job. You can't just be that type of guy. And so he may not ultimately have that ceiling. I mean, he's going to be 26 years old this season, so he's only a second-year player, but, he's not that much older. It's not like he's 21, you know what I mean? And so we'll see. Again, we still have a month to go before the season, and so maybe he makes some.
I got to say, for my one day of scout.
So yeah, that's to Sean Reed, man. Just being honest there, man. I think about AOC,
Yeah.
and we've talked about this before. Like, we understand that AOC was a 4th round draft pick. We understand that as far as athleticism, he has 0. You know what I mean? He doesn't have really too much athleticism. So I agree with that. I think what the Raiders are betting on is that he has so much pieces around him. He doesn't have to do too much. I think that's what they're betting on.
Yeah. I think we have to start being I think as Raider fans, and I know being a fan, right? Like, that's short for fanatic. So there's a part of that that's not going to be rational, right? Like, being a fan is not, the foundation of fandom is not based on rationality. But I think sometimes as fans we set ourselves up for disappointment. And I've been that guy where people were telling me like, oh man, the Raiders are going to suck. I'm like, Raiders going to suck, man. Matt McGloin is going to. You see what Matt McGloin did against Pittsburgh, or Bruce Gradkowski did. Like, we're gonna be good. And then I get disappointed, and so then that's when I had to start. Like, when a team does self scouting, I have to start self scouting. Like, man, am I being real? Like, am I being a realistic fan? And when I see what some people were saying about Aiden O'Connell, there are people who are telling me Aiden O'Connell's gonna be an all pro. He's gonna be in MVP consideration. It's like he's not that guy, right? Like per example, right? I'm a fan of Zamir White. And I thought Zamir White, I thought we should have let Josh Jacobs go. But I'm not out here saying Zamir White is going to be the rushing champion. I think Zamir White can be a capable NFL back, can be a pretty good NFL back. And I think that's what you want. That's what you need in NFL. You don't need a superstar running back. You just need a guy that's solid, that's going to pick up positive yardage, not going to fumble the ball, and hey, occasionally can catch a pass or two. Like, that's what you want out of your running back. Like, and I think that's what Zamir is going to be. I'm not being unrational about my thoughts on Zamir. I don't think he's some crazy third down receiving back, right? That's the skill set he doesn't have. Like, but some people think that Aiden O'Connell was some gunslinger who can throw it 70 yards on the line and who has a better arm than like he has a solid arm. He has like a B- C+ arm. Just so happens that Gardner Minshew probably has like a C- arm, so he edges Gardner Minshew out there. And he's accurate, but he's only really accurate when he gets his feet set. If you don't have really a lot of mobility to escape, how often can you really set your feet? That's why you see him sitting there holding the ball for so long, like searching for receivers, but then he can't move off the spot and reset because he doesn't have that ability. So that limits what he can do on the run. So it's like there's all these problems with him as a quarterback, and there's a lot of problems with Gardner Minshew as a quarterback. That's why we needed an upgrade at the position. That's why I think we strongly considered taking Michael Penix. I think if he would have been there at 13, we would have taken him. Instead of moving up to get him, we got who we got, and I think we have set ourselves up nicely in the future to find another quarterback. But I don't think the quarterback that's going to lead the Raiders to the promised land, I don't think he's currently on this roster. And, he may not be currently in the NFL rather. We would probably have to go the draft route. So hopefully, we are aggressive enough, because if this defense performs like we think it's going to perform, and this offense can just not get in the defense's way, we're going to probably be picking in the late teens and early 20s once again. And that will probably put us out of the running for one of the top quarterbacks. And that's when it's going to be time for Tom Telesco to do something that he rarely does, and that is put together a package of picks to move up.
F them picks, bro.
Man. Hopefully Tom Telesco's listening.
Man, I hope so, man. I think we haven't seen it. Like, if we look at his history, he hasn't really been super aggressive. I think even with Herbert, I think Herbert felt him.
Yes.
And I heard that he was targeting.
He's hired Tua.
Tua, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
you know, Tua obviously went to the Dolphins and the Chargers. The rest is history. They end up drafting Herbert. I guess it worked out for him, but you know, at the end of the day, like, yeah, that's a whole different conversation, man. But that leads me to Antonio Pierce, man, at my extra point of the week. And you know, earlier in the week, I guess Pierce sat down and spoke to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, and this is what he had to say. You know, one thing that we like about Antonio Pierce, he's very honest. You know what I mean? Like he says it how you know he doesn't hold back. He's not a person that's gonna like play any games with the media or anything like that. He's just gonna be really honest and keep it real. And I guess you know that could be a good thing, but I don't know, man. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the screen here so y'all can see what I'm seeing. And let's see if we could. Let me see, Mike. Let me see if we could put you over here, right here. All right, so y'all can see it. Can y'all see it on the screen right here? Let's see.
Yeah.
I'll put it back right here. So, as you can see right here, this is what Pierce had to say. He says, we're probably not going to be, to be honest, a juggernaut offense. He says, will I love to be? Yeah. To sit here and say we're going to score 30 points a game, that's not realistic. And, you know, it goes on, one of the reasons Pierce endeared himself to so many people in and around the organization is that he rarely minces his words. But, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that because I see what he's doing. I think he's trying to set an expectation here. He's trying to like let people know like, hey, look, this is not going to be an offensive football team. This is going to be a different type of football team. It's going to be a defensive football team. I'm sure I see where he's going with it. I think he doesn't want the fans or people to think that this is going to be a team that scores a lot of points. But like, do you really want to say that out loud? You know what I mean? Is he kind of preparing for those tough questions that are going to come after the game? Like, Antonio, how do you feel about the offense? They only were able to put 6 points on the board. The Raiders lose a game. Hypothetically speaking, hopefully the Raiders go undefeated, right? But the Raiders lose 13-6. You know, like they did all they can do on defense. I think he's trying to set up for that. But at the same time, and I understand he's keeping it real, but like, is this too far? You know what I mean? I just feel like, in my opinion, I think he could have worded it a little bit different. I think he could have probably kept this to himself. You know what I mean? Because what does that say to the players that are on offense? You know what I mean? What does that say to Devontae Adams? What does that say to your first round pick in Brock Bowers, your Michael Mayer, Jacoby Myers? What does that say to the quarterbacks? Like you're already kind of like telling them like, hey, look, we don't really believe in you. You know, I don't know. I don't know if he should have said this. And now that it's out there, I think players will see that, especially ESPN. They're going to put it out there. But I just think, in my opinion, that he could have went about it a different way. I think he shouldn't have said this out loud. I mean, it's one thing to be super honest, and I think, and this is where maybe AP's kind of. This is where I think AP's probably learning to be a head coach here. Like, you can't tell everybody everything. You know what I mean? Some things you got to keep to yourself. You can't say that out loud. You know what I mean?
I'm remembering his opening interview when he was introduced as head coach.
Yeah,
I remember towards the end of that interview, he said 24 or more points per game.
Right.
Yeah.
So it went from 24 or more to 30 points per game is not realistic. That is a difference between a single touchdown.
Yes.
Not much. So how do you go from expecting at least 24 to saying that 30 isn't realistic? Is that a big jump? 24 to 30? That's one touchdown. Is that I don't know. Would you guys consider that a big, like going from 24, expecting 24 or more to saying 30 isn't realistic? To me, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
There's a problem. I'm not trying to be overreacting, but how you go from saying one thing and then saying another thing.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
to me, it's alarming a little bit. It's a little alarming, and it's only alarming because he said one thing before that 24 more is the expectation, and now you're saying 30 isn't realistic. If you said 35 isn't realistic, then I'd be like, okay, maybe 35 isn't realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you're talking about a difference between your expectations, 24 more, like you said, that was your expectation, to 30 is now not realistic.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. I have a problem with it. I can understand how other people could be like, oh, he's being honest. Like, yeah, I get that. But, like, he's the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Everything he says is going to be magnified. Everything he says is going to get to that locker room. Maybe this is a tactic by him. I don't know if you guys can see it that way. Maybe it could be a tactic to the offense. Like, hey, look, like, show me. You know what I mean? Maybe it could be that type of situation. But also it could backfire too as well. Like, you know, like, I don't know how the players are going to feel like that on offense. Like, especially because he has talented players. One of his best players is on offense, Devontae Adams. The quarterback position that's so important. You got Gardner Minshew and AOC battling it out. You know, like, I don't know. I've never really. Have we heard a head coach say something like this before? No. Especially before the season. Maybe when it's like super obvious and
playoffs.
and the Raiders have been like, if a team's been eliminated and we start hearing some honesty from the coach, but like not like before the season, and he just like, I don't know. That's the way I took it. I took it kind of like, nah, you should probably.
You know what this tells me? You know what this tells me? He had higher expectations from Aiden O'Connell than he's getting.
Yeah,
that's what that tells me. That's what that tells me at the end of the day.
And if that's the case, damn.
Yeah,
like,
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
You know what? Like, you know what? As the resident hater, I have to commend AP on his hating. Like, this is some next level hating right here. Like, AP is such a master at hating. He's hating on his own team. Like, that is some next level stuff right there. That's not. But to be real, I just think that I think he's honest to a fault, and that's one of the things we talked about, right? Like, when he was interim head coach, that's one of the things I said. Well, no, not when he was interim coach. When he was actually, he had the job, and he was being as we got the full screen going. He's being interviewed about the draft, and they were asking him like some questions about like the Raiders draft strategy, and he was just like being like, or like they're his qualities, and he was just being way too open and honest. And I was just saying back then, like, AP hasn't learned like coach speak yet, right? He hasn't learned to say a lot without saying anything at all. He just says, and that's partly because he's been in football for such a long time. He's been a team captain. And so he's got to tell it like it is. And then he worked in the media for a while. So, you know, he's used to saying, you know, hey, I'm going to give my honest opinion. So I think he doesn't have that, you know, like to be a head coach, it's mostly being football, mostly being leader, mostly being a motivator, but it's also that little piece that we forget, that's like being a politician. You know, it's the winning hearts and minds and putting out the positive spin on things and stuff like that. And I don't think AP has learned that aspect. And that's one of the least important aspects of being a head coach, to be honest with you. So the fact that he doesn't know that isn't some big deal, but it is part of it. And like you said, you know, this kind of stuff, it can have an effect on the team. Hopefully, if we have the type of team we think we have or we hope we have, you know, this has a positive effect on the team where he goes out to prove. I mean, they go out to prove it wrong. But remember, AP also said that in terms of quarterback position, he wasn't looking for a bridge at quarterback. You know, he was, and it's not like we don't even have a bridge. You know, like I don't know what the hell we have right now. We have like a raft.
Yeah. And to be fair, to pay devil's advocate on what you just said right now, who has the final decision on the roster? Who's picking the players? Who's bringing in the players?
Tommy Telescope.
Players.
Yeah.
Tom Telescope. Yeah. Tom Telescope.
Can I add some more context to this, right?
Right.
To just kind of lay off. Maybe I was being a little bit harsh, right? Like just to add context. So last year the Cowboys led the league in points per game, 29.9 points per game. It's 30. That'd be number one. If you're saying that expecting to be number one on offense, okay, fair, right? Well, we got a quarterback. Well, we got a quarterback, it'd be that expectation of them being number one in the league, according, if you compare it to last year, number one, 30 points per game would be number one. Okay, fair, right? But he said 24 more. So putting at 24 points per game will put you at 8th in the league last year. The Rams had 23.8 points per game last year. So 24th will put us at 8th in the league, according to what the numbers were last year. Right, so his expectation was top 10 offense from the jump. Now I want to know where his expectation is now. That's what I'm saying, right? Last year, just for further context, the Raiders, they were at the bottom of the league as far as points per game. It won't even scroll all the way down. I'm not even going to click on the next page. They're at the bottom of the league as far as points per game. So
the computer said, nah, bro.
Yeah, computer was like, don't even do it to yourself. So, yeah, that bad. So if they could just improve where they were, then I'm okay with it. If they're in the middle of the pack, 16th in the league was the Bengals with 21.5. If they can do at least 21.5, I think the defense will get the rest done.
And that's without Joe Burrow. A lot of the if we can just get on Mike's, we can get on Mike's on the first page on Mike's computer screen, like where he don't have to
exactly.
We can get where he don't have to scroll all the way down. We're good.
For real. So I agree with that, man. I think the expectation, if we can just be an efficient offense, if we can just complement the defense, if we can just protect the football, not turn the ball over a lot. I think and run the ball, play complementary football. I think that's where the expectations should be. I think the reason it's funny, the way he said it, I read it, it almost felt like you went up to AP, was like, hey, AP, what do you think of offense? Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. Let me keep it real with you. At least that's what it felt like, right? Like,
and what that makes know what that makes me think of?
Yo.
AP's like, come on, dog.
Let's be honest here, man.
Remember I always go back to Dave Chappelle, but it's like he's like, what are you gonna order? He's like, the dude was like, the chicken. He's like, how'd you know I was gonna order some chicken? He's like, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
He's like, that's hilarious. Classic. That's classic. That's classic. But yeah, man. It just feels like you said, that's just AP. Probably he just needs to learn. Needs more time to be the head coach to understand, hey, everything that he's gonna say is gonna be supremely magnified. And I think that's something that he should have kept to himself. But it just really felt like someone just walked up to him, and maybe he didn't recognize that it was Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. Right. He was just like, he's like, oh man, come on, let's be honest, man. Like this, they're not gonna be no juggernaut offense. Right. But to be and really, it doesn't really speak to. And just to put more context, it doesn't really speak to the pieces that we had on offense. He's just looking at, let's be real, he's just looking at the quarterback play. Yeah, the quarterback position. And let's look at the timeline of when the comments that he made. It was beginning of the offseason where he felt like, all right, we're gonna upgrade that quarterback position. Exactly. We got the pieces on offense. We just need to get a better quarterback play, because as much as we like to think that he was all for AOC, he made plenty of comments talking about other quarterbacks. Let's keep it real. He made plenty of comments talking about how talking about the athleticism that certain quarterbacks can have and the problems that it'll give to defenses and this, that, and the third. So what is he really saying? That's the type of quarterback pretty much that he would like to have on the roster. He talked about Jaden Daniels. So you know that he wanted a quarterback on the roster, but who has the final say on who comes into the I don't want to put it on all AOC on it's Telescope, man. Tommy T, man, Tommy Telesco. At the end of the day, like he could have easily drafted a quarterback. He could have got a quarterback on the roster.
Remember, we talked about this, and just to piggyback on your point, like we had one of our notable quotables was AP when he was talking about like the option of quarterback, and he was like, you know what? There's the draft, and there's a free agency, and then he used a very important phrase, and the pivotal phrase here is he said, "Worst case scenario, we roll with Aiden O'Connell." Like when has that ever been a vote of confidence in somebody? Like, yo, man, look, I could do this, I could do that. Worst case scenario, I'd like that's not a ringing endorsement right there. So it's that he was leaving breadcrumbs back then. Like, look, I'm telling y'all right now. We gotta roll with this dude.
AP seemed hella cool, bro. He seemed hella cool. I don't even think he knew who Jeremy Fowler was. He just walked up on him, was like, let's be honest here, man. Let's be honest here. It's not gonna be no
I can imagine he walk into his office, PR person calling, excuse me, Mr. Pierce. That was Jeremy Fowler for ESPN. Wait, what?
he put the glasses on, like
oh.
AOP did he did that, like, remember when we put that clip of him on draft day? He just sitting in the chair but like tapping his finger on the desk. Like, dang.
Nah. You know what? Let's talk about this too. Like it did seem like AP was upset. There was a point in the draft where we're like, wait, what's going on with AP? We're kind of questioning that a little bit. Like he just left the building a little bit too early. I think there was a little bit of frustration because he didn't get that quarterback. Because at the end of the day, like, look, we don't know. We keep talking about it, but we don't know how long of a leash that AP has. You know what I mean? We don't know what that contract looks like for him. It just seems like if the season doesn't go the way it's supposed to, AP is going to be looked at as a scapegoat.
Yes.
More than Tom Telesco.
Yeah.
So you can take that however you want to take that. But hey, man, this has been a great show, man. We went longer than expected. We had a lot to talk about. Hopefully the Raiders come out with a W. I know it's preseason, and this, it doesn't really matter who wins or loses in the preseason because we've seen the Raiders go undefeated, teams go undefeated, and don't play well. So, but what we do want to see is we want to see young players play.
Remember that?
Oh man, yeah, we thought, man, we went undefeated or at least 4-1. Like
we went 4-0 in preseason.
Yeah, don't even remind me. But hey, but at the very least, we want to see some of these young players play out, show out. We want to see some players. We want to see some position battles. We want to get some answers to some of our questions to some of these battles, and hopefully it happens. Game 1 it's the first of 3 games. So used to be 4, but now it's 3. But we'll see how it shakes out, man. We appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure to like the thumb, clock in, clock out this point. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Mike, man, let the people know where they can find you and what to look forward to.
Yeah, man. So you can find me at Big Mike Raider, whether it's IG, whether it's X, whether it's YouTube, anywhere, just Big Mike Raider, do a search. It's the first thing that pops up. And also, I'm proud to say, if you guys don't mind me doing my shameless plug, say that I am the brand ambassador for Men of Order right here. I take this stuff. Hey. It's been a big part of my health journey since January, man. Lost 50 pounds. This is for testosterone support. This is for memory support, and it's all natural ingredients. Go get you some. They also have a sleep aid on menoforder.com. Go check out menoforder.com/Big Mike Raider and get you some good stuff to get yourself right and make you bounce back and conquer the gym and conquer the world, man. That's all I got, bro.
There you go, man. That's what's up, man. Definitely check them out. And Severe, man, let the people know where they can find you, man, and what to look forward to.
Oh, man, you guys know what's up. At the Severe Raider on YouTube, IG, X, Snapchat, TikTok, all that good stuff. You can find me here Saturday mornings. Hey, Around the Shield with two of my guys, two of my brothers, Fair NFL and Big Mike Raider. Also, Monday nights, the the 50-50 show. You already know what time it is. Been consistent with that for a while, and also got something else in the works with my guy Chris from Protect the Shield. My fellow hater. We're gonna be putting something together, man. So you guys be on the lookout for that. That's gonna probably be like Tuesday night. But that's still, hey, that's still in the preliminary stages. But once we get something settled, I'll definitely be letting y'all know. Then I'm also gonna be doing my own thing, man. Dropping some stuff, probably dropping some skits too. Some more haterism as always, man. But but yeah, man. But hey, I will be going to tonight to cop me some of that memory stuff, bro. Because that's gonna be hey, boy gonna need that. Boy definitely needs that. But yeah, man.
Sleep Aid too is good, man. It's good stuff, man. And the testosterone support is not a booster. Put that out there. It's good to regulate your testosterone levels, and it's all natural ingredients. There's an ingredient in there that's called nature's steroid. I've been killing the damn gym for the past month, 5-6 weeks. I'm doing pull-ups again. I'm 285 pounds doing pull-ups. I did 3 pull-ups today. I went from 0 to doing 3 pull-ups. So, hey, man, if I can do it, y'all can too, man. Go check out menoforder.com/BigMikeRaider.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, hey, man, we appreciate everybody coming through. Like I said, make sure to clock in, like the thumb, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. We appreciate everybody coming through. Next time you'll see us, or we'll be next week, next Saturday. Hopefully by that time we'll have an idea of what's going on with some of these position battles. But also Monday nights, 50-50 show with me and Severe.
Oh, shoot, bro, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Score prediction for this game, man. Score prediction real quick.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
Just a number, real quick.
Get that in. I'm going to go 24-17 Raiders.
All right.
We hit that 24 number. We hit 30. I guess Corey's going 30. No.
I'm gonna go 21-10 Raiders.
I got 20-18 Raiders. Weird score. Usually preseason is weird score. So yeah. Under. Keep the score under. The over under is 39. If you guys are interested in that, I got them going just under 39 to 38 points. So 20-18.
Yeah, there you go, man. Hey, look, that's our score prediction. We'll see. We got to, we're going to do? We're going to keep, we should predict games. And then we'll just keep, and we keep track of the wins and losses as the season goes on. Like, let's start doing that. So preseason, it's preseason at the end of the day, but like starting the regular season, we'll just keep track of the wins and losses. And just make it interesting, all that good stuff. But yeah, hey, as I was saying, man, make sure to check us out, 50-50 show every Monday nights. Just be on the lookout, man. I'm going to be posting some stuff on my channel and collab and all that good stuff, man. So we appreciate everybody coming through. It's going to be hey, man, this has been a great show. We're excited about the preseason starting, Raiders finally playing some football. And yeah, man, hopefully we'll have a lot to talk about the next time you see us, man. We appreciate everybody coming through, man. Till next time. Peace.
Just win, baby. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it.